Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and of course, we need to talk about that massive casting reveal for Avengers Doomsday. For over 5 hours, Marvel Studios had the internet glued to our screens as we watched chairs. And while I thought this reveal was fucking ridiculous, it actually did its job and had the whole internet talking, and there were actually some pretty crazy reveals here, so I want to go over it all with you right now. Now, number one, this is not going to be a video where I go over every single name and say like, oh, I think they're going to be doing this in the movie. No, that's lame. Number two, we do need to put a big disclaimer up here because so much is changing, man. The Russo Brothers have come in and they've clearly changed the Kang dynasty. I mean, I don't see Kang anywhere. And now it's called Doomsday, and they just changed the logo again, so like change is happening. There's a lot of change going on. And although I've been following the rumor mill super closely, and I think I have an idea of what all of this means, it's important to remember that massive change is happening. The Russos might be taking these movies in a different direction. And so it's best for us to kind of take everything with a grain of salt, you know, curb our enthusiasm, etc., etc. But with that out of the way, let me tell you exactly what's going on 100%. And if you don't believe me, you're fucking crazy. That last part was a joke. Just a grain of salt. Here we go. Now, the first thing I want to make clear to you guys is that this announcement is really about Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I know that might seem weird, but it's true. I mean, if you consider what happened yesterday, we get 26 names revealed for the next Avengers movie, and there are some obvious ones like RDJ and some other members of the Avengers that we thought for sure would be there. But one of the things that had a lot of people talking was the fact that you had characters from both the Fantastic Four movie and you have characters from the Thunderbolts film that are going to be in Doomsday. And although I have been saying for some time that all of the movies in this year of 2025 for Marvel Studios are setting up the main players for Avengers Doomsday, for whatever reason that hasn't been obvious, and a lot of people are out there complaining that they don't know who the Avengers are. They have no idea who the players and the characters are going to be in the Doomsday film. And I've also heard that Marvel Studios absolutely loves Thunderbolts, but they're not sure how to sell it to us, the public. And one of the things that's not apparent is that these guys are essentially the Avengers. This was confirmed in a report from Jeff Snyder last night. The asterisk itself does actually represent New Avengers, which is something Alex Perez scooped a long time ago. So the entire rumor mill knew that they had changed Thunderbolts to New Avengers. And this was done specifically to drive interest to that movie because they didn't know how to sell it and because those characters are major players in the Doomsday plot. It also technically spoils the surviving of all of those characters. They're going to survive the Thunderbolts film. They'll be in Avengers Doomsday. I am particularly excited that the Sentry himself is going to survive. Bob Reynolds is going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Holy shit. That's a very powerful dude, man. You don't need Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel or Raged Out Hulk. I mean, I would love a Raged Out Hulk. Don't get me wrong. Those other two, I could take them or leave them. But you don't need crazy power when you've got the Sentry. The Sentry in the Void, maybe one of the most powerful characters in the multiverse. So sick as hell. But that's the first thing I want to get across here. This lineup, everything that was revealed, not necessarily the most mind-blowing stuff, but it is being done. And I believe a large part of why they made this streaming announcement yesterday is so that they could sell the Thunderbolts movie and the Fantastic Four film as actual setups for Avengers. Okay, next thing you gotta know, this is not the full cast, and frankly, a lot of really incredible surprises are being held back. One interesting name that was absent was Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, and if you've been following along with the rumors, like I have, the news popped off a couple of weeks ago when he said he wasn't in Avengers Doomsday, and then he later clarified that no, he is in Avengers Doomsday, and he actually just misspoke when he said he wasn't in it. Anyway, the whole point there is that a lot of rumors had established that Doctor Strange was an incredibly important part of the story of Avengers Doomsday, and yet his name is not on this list. Tom Holland's name is also not on this list, and he was rumored to be a massive part of the whole Doomsday thing, and his movie Spider-Man 4 is supposed to take place right after Avengers Doomsday, though I will say that Jeff Snyder just reported last night that Spider-Man 4 might take place at the same time as Doomsday. And because of Tom Holland's scheduling conflicts, Jeff believes that there's a good chance that Tom Holland is not in Avengers Doomsday. Now, I want to be clear. I don't believe Jeff on that. And in fact, I think Jeff mixed up Secret Wars and Doomsday because sure, Spider-Man 4 could be taking place at the same time as Secret Wars. But if all the Battleworld rumors and the Spider-Queen rumors that we were just talking about a couple of days ago, if all of those rumors are real, I just don't see how Spider-Man 4 could be a movie taking place at the same time as Doomsday. So for me, I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in that movie. There are just too many rumors talking about how his relationship with RDJ's Iron Man will come into play in this film. It's a big beat. There will be a really crazy scene between Tom Holland's Spider-Man and between RDJ's Doctor Doom, and I still think that's going to happen in Doomsday. And we've heard other scoopers say that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be in the Doomsday film a lot, but right now his stunt double is filming most of his scene. This would actually be very similar to what happened in Civil War, because they shot with a body double for Tom Holland for a long time, and then Tom Holland came in and did his few scenes and did some scenes with the mask off, and it worked pretty good. So I would imagine that's what they're going to do for Doomsday. But again, think back to the disclaimer I gave at the very beginning of this video. Like, we don't know for sure. Maybe Tom Holland is not in this movie, but I don't think so. I think he is in this movie. But what I'm saying overall, and the second thing you really just need to keep in mind with the announcement from yesterday, is that this is certainly not the whole cast for Doomsday. I think Doomsday is going to have 50 to 60, maybe even 70 major characters in it. It is absolutely possible they have trimmed that down, but characters like Star-Lord, who wasn't seen yesterday, and Jeff just said is highly unlikely to be in the movie, I think they're going to figure it out. Ultimately, making a movie with this many characters is bananas. It's insane, and that's part of the reason that Marvel Studios couldn't trust anybody else to do it. The Russo brothers, and the fact that they're a team and they have this production company and they're just very good at doing this, it made them the only viable directors to pull this off. And part of the reason why is because they can juggle all of these actors. The main players in the film are likely going to film for a month, but there will be smaller appearances from characters that could probably be filmed in a single day if scheduled correctly. And so I would imagine a large amount of Marvel characters are going to show up in this thing. Characters we've seen throughout the Infinity Saga and phases 4 and 5. Some of those characters might have a very significant role, and they were just left off of this initial announcement, mostly because this announcement is really to build up Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, as I said. And so I think there's a lot more hyped up stuff coming, and I wouldn't rule out any character at this moment. I think the Russos are the perfect guys to pull this off. If they get Pratt for a single day after he gets done filming the movie he's currently doing, then they're good. They can have him in the movie in a meaningful way, I promise you. But okay, let's talk about the third main takeaway, and of course, it's the X-Men, baby! Several big names from the Fox X-Men appeared on those chairs, indicating that yes, we're getting the OG Fox X-Men characters. And this included, most importantly, Sir Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. And it is awesome that those two guys are getting back together in the roles of Magneto and Professor X for an Avengers movie. Number one, what this means is the X-Men universe that Monica Rambeau was trapped in at the end of the Marvels is likely traditional X-Men. There were some questions as to whether or not the cast of that X-Men team would be young and newer people, some of the casting rumors we've heard recently, or if instead it would represent the Fox X-Men. It appears that these reveals from Marvel Studios kind of suggest that, yeah, it's the Fox X-Men. Okay, cool. Fox X-Men, Monica Rambeau trapped over there. How does this fit into the Avengers Doomsday film? Well, according to Alex Perez and some other people that have kind of given context here, it's essentially going to come down to an incursion between that X-Men universe where Monica is at right now and the 616 universe with all the current cast of Avengers. And I do think this will be a pretty important and big part of the story, that final incursion, or at least a big incursion between an X-Men universe and a Marvel universe. And that can really create a large amount of plot, and a lot of time on the screen could be taken up with dealing with that. And maybe it's at that point that Doctor Doom and his cast of Avengers pop up and they're there initially to maybe help 616. Because here's the thing, man. Remember, this movie is called Avengers Doomsday, and it's going to be like Infinity War in the way that that film set up the story of Thanos. Except Doomsday has even more to do. It's got an even crazier job because we don't know shit about Doctor Doom in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we at least knew a little bit about Thanos going into Infinity War. But again, Infinity War really tells the story of that character and sets him up. That's what Doomsday is going to do. And really, the whole RDJ Doctor Doom thing is the driving mystery for audiences. So even though I think it's really cool that the Fox X-Men are involved in this, and there will be a massive Avengers vs. X-Men element to the story, I think that's a little bit of misdirection. I think the actual movie is more about RDJ's Doctor Doom, and I think it's going to be more about the universe or the multiverse overall. And I think the dark versions of the Avengers, like the Hydra Cap and this evil version of Natasha, I strongly feel they're very important to the plot of Avengers Doomsday. And again, obligatory, like maybe not, like maybe things change, sort of warning here, but a lot of the stuff we've heard, it makes sense that that would be really important. Remember, the Russos said when they got on stage at San Diego Comic-Con last year that they knew they had to make another essential story before Secret Wars. And they compared it to the essential story of Infinity War that set up Endgame. And that essential story is Doomsday. This is all story related, and Doom is the major player here. So even though Avengers vs. X-Men is cool, ultimately it'll either be Doom pulling the strings or Doom will take advantage of that situation, and that will be the main plot that leads into Battleworld. Because it's not like Magneto or Charles Xavier creates Battleworld, right? Like, let's just kind of be chill about these X-Men rumors. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is Wanda Maximoff. Now, Elizabeth Olsen is currently out there talking about how she's not in the Avengers movies. And frankly, nobody that's been following along believes her. She's absolutely a huge part of these movies, and in fact, her character will have some kind of romantic thing with Doctor Doom. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what we've heard. Feels like that's real. And so Marvel leaving Elizabeth Olsen off of these chairs yesterday feels like a very intentional thing. It feels like they're literally hiding stuff directly. And in fact, I'll take it a step further. My analysis of the announcement yesterday and a lot of things that Marvel Studios has been doing is that they are actually really aware of what the rumor mill is and what these scoopers are saying. And oftentimes they are dropping actual information that is literally designed to act counter to the narratives and stories that the scoopers are creating. Basically, I think some of these reveals were cherry-picked to get people thinking in opposite directions of all the other established rumors and things that we believe are happening. And so the fact that there's no Dark Avenger reveals here, the fact that there's no Elizabeth Olsen, the fact that there's no Doctor Strange, and there's no Spider-Man, that all feels intentional to me to literally be misdirection from the more important aspects of this film. I could be wrong, but I still strongly believe that the Dark Avengers element is a way bigger part of this story than the Avengers vs. X-Men thing. And I feel the same way about Wanda and the Champions and her children and that whole setup. And I feel the same way about Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, Clea, and the whole Game of Worlds, time runs out stuff. That's way more important than Avengers vs. X-Men. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I'm going to be talking about this on the live stream today. So by the time you watch this video, that stream's probably up. And you can always come by the live streams to ask me any questions you have about any of the reels or just any of the upcoming projects. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.